My mic was muted. I just sat here and talked for half an hour, made the thumbnail, wrote the description, made the tags, talked all about ZZZ for half an hour, and my mic was muted. So we're going to try this again. I'm going to do a ZZZ account review. ZZZ is the game that I cared the least about of the three Hoyo games. I've spent the least in it. I haven't even bought the $100 pack yet. I haven't bought either skin. I would like to get the Astra skin. This is going to be a little more rapid fire than the Genshin and HSR account reviews. And we can start here on the gacha screen. I have every Bangbu. Doesn't really matter if you get refines on them, so I'm just saving for whenever we get a new Bangbu. I am pulling for Soldier Zero Anby. I liked Anby a lot at the start of the game, and her having a 5-star ult is very exciting. If I don't get her, I don't think I'll go for Trigger. I think I'll save that guarantee for Vivian. And let's actually look at the units. I'm not going to go... Or I'm still going to go in acquisition order this time. But I'm going to start with the characters I don't have. Caesar I would have liked to get, but just came out at a bad time. I was holding on to a guarantee from losing my 50-50 for Jane, and I cared more about getting Bernice. Caesar would be really nice to get for Nekomata teams, to be able to turn Astra, but not the end of the world that I don't have her. I'll pick her up on a rerun probably.
You want to test my hammer?
Kaleda, standard, not the end of the world that I don't have her. I'll get her eventually. Lighter, I just don't really like how he plays. He would be great for my account. He would be good on teams like Miyabi and Evelyn, but I'm not a really big fan of how he plays. Pulchra, brand new character, brand new 4-star. I haven't had a chance to really pull for her. I've only done one 10 pull on this banner.
Standing by.
Silver Soldier Zero Anby. I just haven't had a real chance to pull for. I've only done one 10 pull. The patch came out yesterday. And Jane, I tried to get, and I think my account is worse off for not having her, especially now that I am anomaly coded, but I lost my 50-50 and didn't really push further. My starter 5-star, or before I go into characters, this is all super rushed because I already recorded this entire thing, and I uploaded it even, and it was muted. I didn't realize my mic was muted. I didn't know how my mic was muted, but it was muted. In terms of W engines, I have Nekomatas, Zhuyuans, Miyabis, Yanagis, Astras, Soldier 11s, Bernices, Evelyns, Lycons, and Graces. I hate how much lag there is for flipping between it. 4 stars, pretty standard batch of 4 stars. There are some that I just don't have copies of. I think, like, I only recently... Do I have a second? Yeah, I don't even have a second R5 Lucy's, for example. But let's look at some agents. My starter 5-star was Lycon, obviously the character I am the smallest fan of out of the standard pool. I don't have his W engine on him. I'm considering leveling it for Chingy. It's going to go on one of the two. I'm not sure which. I got his C1, losing the 50-50 for Miyabi. I didn't really use him much from 1.2 to 1.4 until I got Miyabi up and running, because my first limited unit was Ellen. But I don't really think very highly of Ellen, because I have C0, R0. I cared a lot more about getting Zhuyuan in 1.0. I possibly could have quit the game if I didn't get Zhuyuan in 1.0. So with Ellen, I couldn't go for her W engine, and in the early game, the damage was fine. Her kit didn't feel complete without C1, though, and I still stand by that. But as I got more units, as I got Zhuyuan, as I got Soldier, as I got Bernice, Ellen's damage kind of fell off, and I just stopped enjoying her. I think C0R0 Ellen is, like, basically the best standard unit at C0R0, but she's not a standard unit, which really hurts her. Then my first standard 5-star after the starter banner was Grace. I like Grace's character, but I don't really like how she plays, and given I only really started considering building her for Jane, and that didn't happen, I lost my 50-50 to C1 on the Jane banner. I never really had a reason to build her. I used Hypercarry Bernice for the second half of 1.2, and I main Yanagi at this point. So I haven't really had a reason to build Grace, but maybe someday I'll do it, and I have her W engine as well sitting there, so I could build her pretty decently. Her kit always felt clunky, and I didn't really think that she fit the best onto my teams. After Grace came Zhu Yuan in the second limited banner. I won my 50-50 for her. She was my original main, even without her W engine, which I lost the 75-25 for and had to swipe for. Even without this, she outperformed Ellen so hard. And once I started investing more into her team with picking up Chingy and getting her W engine and completely maxing her, she was one of my favorite units. She has slightly fallen out of favor for me just because of the anomaly carries, but I still love Zhu Yuan, and I would love to get some of her cons on her rerun in the second half of this patch. Ideally C1, C2 if I'm really lucky. I don't think I'm going to be going for Trigger, even if I do get Ambi, just because, I don't know, I feel like, logically speaking, Pulchra should have been the 5-star, but I completely understand why Pulchra wasn't the 5-star, considering Sons of Caledon has 3 limited 5-stars already, and Obel Squad only has 3 units. After Zhu Yuan, I lost my 50-50, speaking of Obel Squad, for Chingy to Soldier. Soldier was a unit that I got a lot of use out of in the short term, and my next standard 5-star after getting her was her W engine, which was absolutely massive. She definitely has a bit of a lacking crit ratio, and I run a bit of a lacking team. I run Ben and Lucy with her if I ever do use her. She served me incredibly in the short term. I was able to use her over Ellen, and I don't remember if she was the unit that got me my first 21-star on Shiyu defense, or if it was Bernice. But Soldier did me a lot of good in a very small time. Even if she did fall off almost immediately, she did what she needed to do. In terms of endgame progression, just because I went to check, I regularly 6-star Deadly Assault. I haven't really been able to push past that just because of, I mean, one of the teams is Zhu Yuan, and Yanagi is often resisted by one of the bosses, but that's the boss that I have to use her on just because of the composition of the mode. And Shiyu defense, pretty consistent 21 stars for a while now, I think since 1.2. Battle Trial, both up to floor 15. There's no more Primo Gems after that, so I don't particularly care about pushing them. After losing my 50-50 for Chingy, I managed to squeeze her out, and I do feel like I need to relearn her and I need to rebuild her, and I am sad that I wasn't able to get her W engine on her last banner. It would have been a nice pickup, but Lycons and her own are more important, or not more important, or Lycons and Damara Battery, I mean, are completely valid options. I'm sorry if I sound delirious at all. I recorded this entire thing. It was a half-hour video, and then I went to start watching it back after I uploaded it, and I realized, oh shit, I left my mic muted. So, Qingyi, I don't actually know what her cons do. I never really read them. Hold on. DPS Qingyi? Huh. So, I am a big Qingyi fan. I'm glad I am able to use her with Zhu Yuan. They work really well together. I do feel like I need to relearn her because I've been mostly playing anomaly teams lately. And I do need to rebuild her because she still has a 4-star artifact. But she has served me very well throughout the game. And making sure to get the first premium stunner was kind of like a no-brainer. Then I lost my 50-50 for Jane. I didn't go for Caesar. And Bernice came out. I love Bernice's design. Her character is funny. She called Pulchra an Angie cat once, and that was fun. When she came out, I was kind of downtrodden on the game. I had just come off of pretty bad luck in 1.1. I lost my 50-50 for Qingyi. I lost my 50-50 for Jane. And Bernice came in the first 10 pull with that guarantee. So I started building her immediately. And with the rest of the pulls that I intended to put into her, I got her W engine almost immediately. It was at like 30 or 40 pity. So I was able to stash a little bit for Yanagi. I haven't 60'd her W engine. That's just out of laziness. I didn't have the materials to do it when I first got her, and I just haven't really since. Recently, I have been working on getting my drives to F and my talents to 11 on everyone. And Bernice was just a huge pickup. She kind of fixed my account. And doubly so when paired with Yanagi. Yanagi was the character I was looking forward to most early on in the game. And she is my main at this point over Zhu Yuan. It's her and Miyabi all the way. She is my second maxed character after Zhu Yuan. I got her at about 20 pity, and her W engine did go to pity, but I didn't lose the 75-25 for it. So I was able to start pushing for her cons. And I, relatively late at like 80 pity, I won the 50-50 for C1 as well. So she is by far my strongest character. Not necessarily by far with Miyabi, but she is one of my favorite characters to play. She is one of my strongest characters. I really enjoy her. I use her with Bernice and Lucy. And she was the missing link to kind of break my account wide open. Then I didn't pull for Lighter, and in 1.4, I did pull for Miyabi. Miyabi recontextualized what it was like to have an ice DPS, because Ellen was bad. But Miyabi I have used for quite literally every bit of content since she came out. This unit is on another level. I would love to get some cons on her. She is insanely strong, insanely fun, one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite designs, and I'm glad that basically everyone got a chance to get her, because it was a full patch banner. They gave enough pulls in that patch, I believe, to hard pity with 50-50 losses get Miyabi. So I'm glad everyone gets to experience how busted she is, even if she does struggle with free-to-play weapon options. Harumasa was the other 5-star in 1.4, and he was obviously given for free, which is really the only reason I have him. I considered building him for a very short period of time in case I ever needed double electric with Yanagi. However, they then dripped Soldier Zero Anby, and I realized, yeah, he's probably never seeing use. Maybe there's a timeline where Anomaly gets directly phased out of the meta and crit DPS are better, and I need to run double electric, so it'll end up being Anby and Harumasa. But for now, he's staying unbuilt. I'm glad to have him, though. I'd rather have him than not. The fact that they were willing to give a free limited 5-star was crazy. And he's not a bad one either. I do imagine he fell off with Anby's release very similarly to how Ratio fell off with Fei Zhao's. But Haramasa, nice addition to the account, even if I haven't used him. Going into 1.5, on Astra's banner, I lost the 50-50 to my first Rena. Rena, I haven't built at all because she's kind of mid at C0. All she does is buff pen ratio, as far as I can tell, which doesn't seem all that crazy, and the fact that she has such a short uptime, I believe it's like 4.5 seconds before C1, and then C1 gives you an extra 5.5 seconds. She's not the best support, which is surprising. You'd think a day 1 support would outscale the 4 stars. I mean, Branya did an HSR, but none of the Genshin supports really did. But you'd think a dedicated support unit would actually have a place in the meta. This is, maybe if I ever have to use Haramasa, I'll build Rena, but I don't really have a place for her. Astra, I really prefer her other outfit. I just was too lazy to buy it. I'll probably grab it at some point. I love the pearl motif she and Evelyn share. I like her character was great, her story was great. I didn't think she was a crazy great unit. However, I realized after I had started using her for a little while, I had forgotten to give her artifacts, like, completely. So she was not outperforming Nicole or Lucy, but that was also because her build was completely naked. I'm sure now that she's actually built, she will absolutely bump my Zhu Yuan to potentially competitive with Yanagi. But I'm not entirely sure, especially because I do kind of expect her to get phased out as we get into 2.0, because she is the generic all-unit support of this game. She works with literally any DPS, with her passive being for attack and anomaly. So while I think she has a strong kit, I think she is the jack-of-all-trades support and will be outclassed by masters of more specific roles.
Is the concert starting?
Oh, also, I forgot during 1.4, I used my standard banner Spark on Nekomata. Nekomata is actually my favorite character. While I main Zhu Yuan, Yanagi, and Miyabi, Nekomata is my favorite character. I really liked her writing. She is cute in a very wholesome way. I love all of her expressions in the story. ZZZ as a whole is a very emotive game. The characters show a lot more emotion than they do in the other Hoyo games. But Yanagi's are some of the or not Yanagi's. I'm losing it because I had to re-record this. Nekomata's are some of the best by far. She's fun, but she's bad. Hopefully when I get Caesar, I can start to use Astra with her, and that will result in a huge jump in performance from Nicole Chingy. And as icing on the cake, she's voiced by Alice Homura, who voiced Robin in HSR. So my favorite character in both ZZZ and HSR share a VA, and I just love that. I love listening to her voice. She was incredible as Robin. She's incredible as Nekomata. And I do wish I got her a little sooner, so she actually would have had a functional place on my account. And a unit who also doesn't have a functional place on my account yet, just because she's underbuilt, is Evelyn. I got Evelyn with 2 days to go on the banner. I had kind of resigned myself. If I lost the Evelyn 50-50, I would give up. I wouldn't swipe. And I would just save the guarantee for Ambi or Vivian or something. I do plan on pulling for Vivian. I don't plan on pulling for Hugo in the next patch. But I managed to get Evelyn on the second to last day at 80 pity, or not the second to last, like the fourth to last, at 80 pity, and with a single 10 pull on her weapon banner, I got her S1. I would have run one of the 4-star W engines, which I do think are really lacking for attack options. I don't think this is all that strong. I don't think this is all that strong. You'd think it would be better because it's a crit rate weapon. This is a crit rate weapon. This is actually really good for a free weapon, and this is also really good for a free weapon. But after bad experiences with Evelyn, attacker W engines scared me. So to get Evelyn's in a single 10 pull was a huge relief. I wouldn't have swiped for it either, but being able to actually use her once I gathered the materials, because ZZZ is a constant material shortage as a game. I'm always short on Denny's, experience, talent mats, ascension mats, whereas in HSR and especially Genshin, it's so easy to just get a unit functional with a backlog of stuff and then start working on their dedicated things. ZZZ, I have had no time to recoup and go for older units in terms of like artifacts, because it'll be like, okay, I gotta catch up on talents and there's a new unit. I definitely plan for going for I plan on going for Ambi. In terms of name cards, because I didn't look through the 4 stars, I have every 4-star in the game except for Pulchra, obviously, is C6 already. I don't have any of the 5-star name cards, but I do have all of the 4-star ones except for Pulchra. I would love to get a lot of these. Evelyn's really good, or Evelyn's is really good. Miyabi's is really good. Yanagi's is really good. Bernice's is really good. Zhuyuan's is really good. Nekomata's is really good. And Rina's is really good in terms of the name cards. So, yeah, this was my ZZ account review. If you enjoyed it and want to see more ZZZ content from me, maybe Endgame, maybe Genshin Endgame, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, all the call to action stuff. I think the next video I'll be recording is the 3.1 Pure Fiction. And yeah, while I don't love ZZZ the same way I love the other 2 games, I do still really enjoy it enough to play it every day. I think it's probably the easiest for the average non-Hoyo gamer to get into. Just because I know open worlds can be a little bit divisive. I personally don't like open worlds, and Genshin is the first open world game that really grabbed me. And HSR, I know by virtue of being a turn-based game, can be really difficult to get into. But, I think ZZZ, with its more arcadey character action style, is really easy for anyone to jump in and play. So if you're here completely randomly, if you're here from a future video, maybe something Pokemon related that I've been cooking up, if you're here from one of the other Hoyo games and don't really have a hold on ZZZ but are interested in it, I think it's probably the easiest one to just sit down and try. Although it is definitely, in my opinion, the hardest, because teams are a lot more limiting in this game. I do still really enjoy it, even if I enjoy it less than I enjoy HSR and Genshin. But, yeah, I just love sitting here and talking about my accounts. I know it's kind of egotistical to think, yeah, I want to show this to the world, but I have always loved people going through accounts and looking at the decisions of why they did what they did and what the game has decided to give them. And I love account reviews, and I love that I can contribute to making account reviews. So if you want to see more ZZZ content, maybe endgame rotations, maybe Genshin endgame rotations, any showcases in any of the games, or, again, I'm cooking up something a little special with Pokemon, do all the call to action things. You got the subscribe button, you got the bell, you got the like button, you got the comments. Do all that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you.